morning sun spread softly through the open window, bathing the room in a golden light that made everything look peaceful. Too peaceful to hint at what was coming. Miriam stood by her dressing mirror, brushing her long dark hair with quiet pride. Her reflection smiled back at her, radiant, confident, complete. She was a woman who had it all. At least, that's what everyone in the neighborhood believed. Her husband, Henry, was a hardworking man who ran a thriving car business. They had two beautiful children, Kamsi and Tochi, both healthy, smart, and full of laughter. Their home, though not the biggest in the estate, carried warmth and joy that made visitors wish they could stay longer. Miriam often thanked God for everything she had, but in her heart, she knew not everyone around her was happy for her happiness. Among her friends was Vanessa, her closest companion since their university days. Vanessa was beautiful, funny, and always around to help. She had been with Miriam through thick and thin, or so Miriam believed. When Miriam got married before her, Vanessa had smiled through her teeth and said she was happy for her. When Miriam had her second child, Vanessa had brought gifts and danced louder than anyone else. But sometimes, Miriam noticed the look in Vanessa's eyes. Something dark, something sharp, like a hidden knife behind a smile. That day, Miriam was cleaning the house. She had always been a neat woman who loved keeping everything in order. She went from room to room, dusting, folding, and sweeping. When she reached the kitchen, she picked up some old clothes, her husband's faded shirts, her children's worn-out dresses, and her own wrappers that had grown thin from years of use. She tore them into small pieces and used them to wipe the tables and clean the windows. She didn't think much of it. To her, they were just old clothes, but outside, by the gate, someone was watching. She leaned on the wall, pretending to scroll through her phone. Her eyes followed Miriam through the window. Every time Miriam threw an old cloth into the cleaning basket, Vanessa's lips curved into a small smile, cold, satisfied. Later that afternoon, Vanessa came over as usual. She brought fruits for the children and chatted cheerfully with Henry. Her laughter filled the house like music. Miriam felt lucky to have a friend so close, so loyal. She didn't know that Vanessa's eyes had been carefully studying every corner of her home, especially the kitchen where those cleaning rags were kept. That evening, when Miriam went to bed beside her husband, she felt a strange heaviness in her chest. She brushed it off as tiredness from house chores, but when she closed her eyes, her dreams turned dark. She saw herself standing by a busy street, holding her two children's hands. They were dressed in torn, dirty clothes, begging for food. Cars passed without stopping. People looked away in disgust. Her husband was there too, sitting by the roadside, head in his hands, wearing rags. A sharp pain shot through her heart as she reached out to help him, but before her hand could touch him, a voice whispered in the wind, "You gave me what I needed." Miriam woke up gasping, her whole body trembling. Sweat dripped down her neck. The room was quiet, except for the snoring of her husband beside her. She sat up and held her chest, whispering a prayer under her breath. The next morning, strange things began to happen. Henry's business partner called saying one of their biggest deals had fallen through. Their car broke down on the way to school. The children came home crying because their classmates laughed at them for reasons they couldn't explain. Miriam tried to stay calm. "It's just a bad day," she said, forcing a smile, but deep inside, something didn't feel right. Days passed, the bad luck multiplied. Henry started losing more clients. The generator stopped working. The house felt colder at night, as if an unseen shadow was moving through the rooms. Miriam's once bright face began to look tired and pale. She prayed every morning and night, but the more she prayed, the worse things seemed to get. Vanessa still visited often, pretending to comfort her. "Don't worry," she said, patting Miriam's back. "Everything will be fine. Maybe it's just one of those phases. You're strong, my sister." But every time Vanessa left, Miriam felt drained, as though a piece of her joy had gone with her. Then one day, while cleaning the kitchen again, Miriam picked up one of the old rags she had used weeks ago. It looked strangely smaller, like someone had cut a piece out of it. She frowned. "Did Henry use this for something?" she muttered. Inside, an uneasy feeling crept into her chest, whispering that something about those rags wasn't ordinary anymore. That night, Miriam dreamt again. This time, she was standing in a dark forest. In front of her was a fire. Inside the flames were the same old clothes she had used to clean the house, burning, twisting, and turning into shapes of people crying. A woman's shadow stood behind the fire, her laughter echoing through the night. Miriam tried to run, but her feet felt heavy, tied down by invisible ropes made from those very clothes. When she woke up, she knew one thing for sure. This was no ordinary bad luck. Something unseen was working against her family, and she had no idea who or what it was. The days that followed were heavy like thick clouds, refusing to rain. Everything that used to shine in Miriam's life began to fade. Henry, who was once cheerful and full of ideas, now sat quietly for hours, staring into space. His business was falling apart. Customers stopped coming. Deals were cancelled, and even his trusted co-workers started resigning without reason. Did everything she could to encourage him, but deep down, she was scared. Something dark had entered their home, and she couldn't explain it. One morning, Miriam woke up to the sound of her children argue. She rushed to their room and found Kamsi pushing Tochi while crying. She said she saw a woman in my dream, Tochi shouted. She said the woman told her our family would soon wear rags for real. Miriam froze. She looked at both children, fear crawling up her spine. Who told you that? She asked softly. Kamsi sniffed and said, the woman in white with fiery eyes. She was standing beside our bed last night. Miriam's heart began to pound. She pulled her children close and whispered prayers over them. But the more she prayed, the colder the room became. It was as if something unseen was standing there, watching her. That evening, she tried to tell Henry what the children said, but he waved it off. You're stressing too much, Miriam. It's just bad dreams. Things will get better soon. Yet, even as he said it, his voice shook. Days turned into weeks, and the once happy home became full of arguments and fear. Henry shouted more often. Miriam cried in secret. The children stopped playing and preferred to sit quietly in their room. Even visitors noticed the change. The laughter that used to fill the house had vanished. One afternoon, Vanessa stopped by with a tray of jollof rice and meat. You've lost weight, my dear, she said, pretending to sound concerned. You don't look like yourself anymore. Miriam forced a smile. We're just going through a phase, she said softly. Vanessa's eyes sparkled in a strange way. Don't worry, my friend. I'll pray for you, she said sweetly. She stayed a little while, chatting and laughing, but when she left, Miriam noticed that same drained feeling again, like her spirit had been squeezed. That night, Miriam couldn't sleep. Her mind was full of worries. She got up quietly and went to the living room. As she passed the kitchen, she stopped. The cleaning basket where she kept her rags was open, and one of the old clothes was missing again. Her heart thumped. She looked around the room, but everything seemed still. The air felt heavy, almost alive. Then she heard it, a soft humming from outside. She peered through the window and saw a shadow moving near the gate. It looked like a woman wrapping something in a piece of cloth. Miriam blinked hard, but when she opened her eyes again, the shadow was gone. She ran back to bed, trembling. She wanted to wake Henry, but something told her not to. Instead, she knelt down and prayed till morning, asking God to show her what was going on. The next day, Miriam's mother came to visit. One look at her daughter and she frowned. Miriam, what's happening? You look like you haven't slept in weeks. Tears filled Miriam's eyes as she told her mother everything. The dreams, the bad luck, the strange disappearance of her old clothes. Her mother listened quietly, her expression growing darker with every word. My daughter, she said finally, stop using your clothes as rags. Don't even use your children or your husband. There are people who can use those things against you. His breath caught in her throat. Mama, who would do such a thing? Her mother sighed. Not everyone who smiles at you wishes you well. Sometimes, the closest people to you are the ones who want what you have. That night, Miriam couldn't shake off her mother's words. She kept thinking of Vanessa, how she always showed up uninvited, how she asked too many questions, how she never looked surprised when bad things happened. The thought scared her. Vanessa was her best friend. She couldn't be the one, could she? But that same night, Miriam had another dream. This time, she was back in that dark forest. She saw the same fire, but now she could clearly see the woman standing behind it. She was wearing Miriam's old wrapper. the one she had used to clean the windows weeks ago. In her hands were the shirts of Henry and the children's clothes, tied together in knots. The woman's face slowly lifted into the light, and it was Vanessa. Miriam screamed, "Why are you doing this to me?" Vanessa's voice coldly echoed through the trees, "Because everything you have should have been mine." Miriam woke up shouting. Henry jumped from the bed, holding her shoulders. "What is it? What's wrong?" Tears streamed down her face. "It's Vanessa," she whispered. She's the one. She's the one destroying us." Henry frowned. "Miriam, please, don't say that." "Vanessa? Our friend? You must have misunderstood." Miriam could see it now. The way Vanessa always appeared at the wrong times. The sudden bad luck after every visit. The strange dreams that matched her children's fears. It all made sense. Still, she knew accusing Vanessa without proof would be dangerous. No one would believe her, not even Henry. So she stayed silent, watching, praying, and waiting for God to reveal the truth in his own time. But the spiritual storm had only begun. Over the next few days, things got worse. Henry fell seriously ill, and the doctors couldn't explain what was wrong. The car was sold to pay hospital bills. Landlord began threatening eviction. Miriam's once bright home now felt like a prison of fear and confusion. Every night, she prayed until her voice cracked. "God, please show me what to do. Please don't let my family die." And one night, after crying till her pillow was wet, Miriam heard a whisper deep in her spirit, a calm but firm voice that said, "Go where my fire burns. The truth waits for you there." Miriam didn't understand it yet, but that message would soon lead her to a powerful church and to a truth more shocking than anything she could have imagined. Rain poured heavily that Sunday morning as Miriam stood at her window, staring at the gray sky. The whisper she had heard the night before still echoed in her heart, "Go where my fire burns." She didn't know exactly what it meant, but something deep inside told her it was about finding help in the house of God. Her heart had grown weary of praying alone. The attacks were getting stronger. Her husband was still weak. Her children constantly had nightmares, and her own dreams were filled with shadows. As the thunder rumbled in the distance, Miriam made up her mind. She dressed quietly, woke her children, and told Henry that she was going to church to pray. He only nodded faintly. The sickness had drained all his strength. She knelt by his bedside, touched his forehead, and whispered, "God will not fail us." Then she left. The rain soaked her wrapper as she walked down the muddy street, but she didn't care. She passed several churches until her eyes caught one she had never noticed before. Fire of Restoration Ministries. Its signboard looked old and faded, but as she stood in front of it, something tugged at her spirit. The sound of prayer filled the air, loud and passionate, like people wrestling with invisible powers. Inside, men and women were on their knees, praying in deep groans. The atmosphere was thick with intensity. Miriam felt a strange warmth in her chest, like a small flame flickering to life. A tall woman dressed in white came to her and smiled gently. "You are welcome," she said. "What brings you here?" Miriam's voice broke as she spoke. "My family is falling apart. We've lost everything. I pray, but the more I pray, the worse things become. I think someone close to me is behind it." The woman nodded slowly. "You have come to the right place. A pastor is a man of God who sees beyond what the eyes can see. Wait here, my sister." Moments later, a man in his early 50s stepped forward. His eyes were calm but piercing, like he could see straight into her soul. "You are welcome, my daughter," he said. "God sent you here. Tell me what troubles you." Miriam began to pour out his story. The strange dreams, the losses, the feeling of darkness surrounding her home. She told him about the rags, the missing clothes, and the nightmares involving Vanessa. Pastor listened silently, nodding occasionally. When she finished, he closed his eyes for a moment, then opened them slowly. "My daughter," he said softly, "the spirit world is real. Many people suffer without knowing the source. What you call rags were once garments of glory, your family's covering. Someone who envies your peace has used them as a point of contact." Miriam's knees went weak. She covered her mouth, trembling. "So, it's true?" "Yes," the pastor said. "Your dreams are not ordinary. The woman you saw is not just a friend. She's an enemy wearing a friendly face. She used your old clothes to tie your family's destiny in the spiritual world. But do not fear. The same God who reveals is the God who delivers. Tears streamed down Miriam's cheek. She fell to the floor, sobbing, "Please help me. I don't want to lose my family." The pastor called 3 prayer warriors. "We will pray tonight," he said. "Go home now. Remove every old clothes used for cleaning. Do not let anyone touch them. Bring a small bottle of olive oil tomorrow. We will wage war in the spirit." That night, Miriam followed his instructions. She gathered every piece of rag in her house, old shirts, wrappers, children's clothes, and tied them in a sack. Her hands trembled as she carried them to the backyard. She poured kerosene on them, praying under her breath, "Every evil attached to this, burn in Jesus' name." The flames rose high, crackling and hissing. A strong wind blew, almost knocking her off balance, but she stood her ground, praying louder. As the fire burned, she felt something break inside her, a strange weight lifting off her chest. The wind settled, and for the first time in months, she felt peace. But just as she turned to go inside, a voice whispered from behind her, "So you finally found out." Miriam froze. Slowly, she turned around, and standing by the gate was Vanessa, holding an umbrella, her face calm but eyes dark with hunger. "Vanessa?" Miriam stammered. "What are you doing here?" Vanessa stepped closer, her smile cold. "I was passing by and saw smoke. I just wanted to see what my friend is burning." Miriam's heart pounded. She could feel the air grow heavier again. "I'm burning my old rags," she said carefully. Vanessa's gaze shifted to the ashes. She murmured. "Be careful, Miriam. Sometimes when you burn things, make what should have stayed as safe." Without another word, she turned and walked away, her umbrella tapping the wet ground. Miriam watched her disappear into the misty night, her body trembling. She ran back inside and locked every door. That night, the war truly began.